let's start with Jozy Altidore.
Oh, let's get into it.
Also, what you
This
know.
is his, this is his last opportunity, right? He needed to make this move because he was not going to get playing time with the Revolution. The playing time that you would expect if you were to make a move from Toronto to try and get on the U.S. national team. The New England Revolution, which I wish we got another opportunity to ask Oscar, what would he think this move would do for Jozy Altidore, having coached for in Liga MX, and what could people expect? But they have Gustavo Bo, and they just signed Giacomo Vrioni. So you have two DP strikers. Jozy was not going to play unless there was an injury. And then the times that Jozy did play, he didn't inspire. He didn't inspire, Bruce Arena to say, actually, I don't need to sign a striker, and he's scoring goals and making runs. So there's two sides of the coin. One, you as a player, you're not getting the proper chances. I'm desperate to move because I need to play, and I got to give myself one last opportunity. So in the league, probably wasn't going to happen. Out of the league, Liga MX, perfect opportunity for him to go and tear the league up. And if he is moving, if he does score, then he's going to be back in the picture. On the flip side, you look at what Bruce Arena did, and it's like, all right, maybe I can make a move to address some needs within the team if Jozy takes a loan out for the rest of the year.
Okay, so the last time he represented the U.S. Heath was in 2019, the Gold Cup. He had one goal in that competition. He actually had a really good chance against Mexico in the final, and he has not been called in since. That's the last time he has been a part of the team. But that was time with Greg Berhalter, and we discuss, it's harder to create opportunities, and he did find himself in good spots. When we had Hector Moreno on, Mexican international, he said the hardest player for him to play against from the U.S. was Jozy Altidore. He's only 32 years old. So do you think he does have an outside chance? I know we talked about it on yesterday's podcast. How many goals do you think he'd have to score in the next 5 months for him to actually be considered for it? But if he comes in and he's looking fresh and he's being the force that we know that he can be, and he's playing better than the other people he'd be competing against at the number 9 spot, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that he could be called in by Greg.
Yeah, it's an interesting time because he definitely has age on his side, though he's got a lot of miles, I'm sure, on his body. So he's not old for the internet. He's older than this team is. But when I think about Jozy, I think about this being an opportunity. And I'm not Jozy. My career was completely different. But when I had, and I didn't get a chance to ask Oscar this either, why they offered me such a crap deal when they took my rights in the expansion draft.
Still really holding on to this, huh? Like, geez.
I ended up going to Gothenburg. I ended up going to Gothenburg. Yeah. And I basically looked at it as a final chance for me personally, right? I had a hip surgery. I had a leg break. I had all these things that I was like, my body just wasn't settling in. I was like, this is my last run. And it wasn't about whether or not I could play another 5-6 years. I knew I could do that. There's plenty of clubs and plenty of teams to make a good living playing soccer. For me was, could I get to the international level again? And it wasn't about whether whether Jurgen called me in or not. It was about getting to that level where you're playing naturally, you're playing at a speed, you're playing at an intensity that is required to play at the national team level. And I think this move for Jozy is a chance for him to be hungry. And Jozy hasn't had to be hungry since he got to Toronto. He was successful in Toronto, but he didn't have to be hungry in Toronto. And then he gets to New England, and you've got sort of that mix of establishment with Bruce, and you're coming into a team, and you're a legend in North America, and still didn't necessarily have to be hungry. Now Jozy's way outside of that, right? Nobody cares about Jozy at Puebla. And that's a great opportunity to try to channel or harness or dig deeper into something that perhaps he hasn't had to or thought he was doing in his other environments. And I really like the chance of it there. It's not so much to me about goals. If you're Greg Berhalter, you're watching every game Jozy plays, right? Just to see, can he flip that switch back on? Because the Jozy that we know now does he have that fire? Is he hungry? Is there a speed and intensity to his game that he's tapping back into that will dictate that? Yeah, he does need to score goals as well to be able to get back into the national team. But there's something about Jozy that if he can get to that automatically puts him back in, just because of the desperation I think we have at the number 9 spot.
I would say the hold-up play too is super important, and resident number 9 Charlie Davies can follow up on this, because when we look back at the 2018 World Cup, Olivier Giroud didn't score for France, but he was pivotal in helping of course. Well, that makes a big difference. You got Dembele on the other side and Griezmann and all these other guys, of course, world-class players. But there's something about that hold-up play that allows those guys to get the ball 15, 20 yards higher up the field so they don't get tackled. They don't get slowed down in the middle block. They actually get the ball, and it looks like they, with some space to run at players in the attacking third, which defenders have to defend different when you're in and around the box. And so you have to make your choices and risk in determining whether you want to make that tackle, try to run with them. And obviously that's going to play for an Mbappe and Dembele in a positive way. But it's not to say that our guys can't. Timo Weah would definitely benefit from picking the ball up higher. Pulisic, Reina, Aronson, whoever it is. So that hold-up play is going to be really important. Another thing, too, he's also excellent at kind of running off the shoulder. If he gets an edge on you as a center back, you're not getting it. The dude's a brick house. You know, he's so strong. He can hold off the ball, and that's why Hector Moreno said what he said, because once he gets you in that space and can roll you, you're in trouble. So it's just a matter of where he picks up the ball and the decisions he makes once he gets it, how he brings other players into the play. So, yes, goals are important, of course. They're going to be the end product of what he's doing. But I think there's all these little things that could help our national team.
He's got to be able to run, too. He's got to be able to
run. That's true.
Run.
Yeah, I mean, you got to run the channels.
Team wants to be able to press. I don't think they've been great at press. I'm talking about even defensively. Like, you got to be willing to be that first man in a press. Like, make that game.
Is he fit enough, Charlie? You saw it with the Revolution. I don't know.
Yeah,
if fit
I
enough.
would say with the Revs, he checks too much to the ball, and he also comes out to the wide areas. And if you're playing as a lone striker, you better be in the box and just stay in the box, stay central. And if you're going to make runs into the channel to stretch the field. Don't bring more defenders into the middle of the field, especially against this U.S. side. They need space. Right. So with Christian Pulisic, with Gio Reyna and Timo Weah and Brendan Aronson and Yunus Musa, that 9 needs to be able to create space, but also to be able to hold up the ball. So both of those qualities he can do. We've seen him hold it up. But as of late, he hasn't made those runs in behind. He hasn't. When you talk about how many sprints are you making per 45, per 90, those numbers have not been great for Jozy. And yes,
you think that's irreparable though? Like, do you think that's a mentality thing? Because we all know, like, as we get older,
I think it's more of a mentality thing
than you want in the space.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's physical, and sometimes it's just sort of being like, I'm not going to make that run because I'm not going to get the ball.
I did that for 10 years. Why do I have to do that
anymore? I think it's one of those things where once the focus is about your runs in behind, and that's what they're asking you to do, and your success is based off of that, then that makes you switch. You might have gotten out of that because you're bigger in size, you like to hold up players, you like to play, tiki-taka because you have good feet. But ultimately, no, you got it. You're the 9. Get back to doing what you did as a young number 9 for the U.S. men's national team, which is just making runs. And I always talk about the fire. You know it when you watch a player, when they are not going to lose no matter what, because it is evident that they're emptying the tank. They're doing everything in their power to work for the team. When's the last time that you've seen that from Jozy? Like the young Jozy, when he was just all over the place and running, and you could feel that force, to now it's kind of, I run here and there, but it's not continuous. You're not seeing it at all, throughout every minute of the match when he's on the field. So I know this is desperation time. This is the moment. Do you really want it? Because if you do, it'll show. And if it shows, you're going to have success in Liga MX, and that's without a doubt.
Do you think, and this, Heath, I'll throw it to you and anybody else listening, follow us on Twitter, ISWTpod. If you're listening and not watching live on YouTube, throw it in the comments if you are on YouTube. Do you think the experience factor potentially plays into what Jozy can provide to the team? Because he played in the 2010 and 2014 World Cup, even though he got hurt against Ghana in that first game. Do you think that because our team is going to be so young, we're looking to be the youngest team on average at this upcoming World Cup? We only have DeAndre Yedlin. He's still a bit on the bubble at the right back spot. Do you think there is some room to have that experience? And would he accept that role to be kind of he's not going to be, he might be the guy. I don't know if he blows up, but if he's not, would he accept that role of kind of being a good cheerleader and getting the most out of the guys around him?
I mean, I don't know if Jozy's
Charlie, you can jump in afterwards.
or attitude is the right leader you want in the team. I'm not saying he has a bad attitude, but if you were talking about pick somebody in their late 20s to early 30s that has the experience of World Cups, that has done it before, that can automatically step in into a situation. I think about Chiellini's interviews since he's gotten to LAFC of just like this natural instinct to lead and just make it not about you and make it about others. There's some natural abilities in that. And I don't know if Jozy is in that point in his career to really transition his mindset into being that teacher, that leader, that mentor, that sets the tone of like when you show up, how you train every day. Maybe I could be wrong. I haven't been around Jozy in a long time. Charlie's around him quite a bit. And so would love his take on it, but that's not what I would bring him for.
No, I would say regardless of how Jozy is as a leader, Greg Berhalter has made it known World Cup experience means nothing with this group. This is a group that's learning as they go. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was evident when you look at the roster selection every World Cup qualifying match. And basically, since he's taken over, he said, we're going in this direction. We're going with youth. Where the plan is, yes, we got to qualify for this World Cup, but ultimately we're looking at 2026. So experience to him is overrated. So that it literally means nothing. It depends on how you deliver. What is your production with this team? On top of, you got to be a good teammate if you're not playing. If you got to be happy with my decisions, and if you're not playing and you're coming along for the ride, what value do you add to the team? So for Jozy, I think it's pretty simple. You got to produce, you got to score, and you got to work if you want to make that team. But the opportunity is there. It's not that if he goes to Mexico and he scores 15 goals, he's not going to get on that plane. He'll get on that plane if he wants to get on that plane. And the only way he's going to get on that plane is if he scores and works.